in the last episode, I talked a bit about setting up an email account in Rmail and Emacs, and it was all right, but it didn't really talk about setting up multiple email accounts, which is kind of important nowadays because it's 2021. All right, no one has more than one email. I have my main email, I have my work email, I have a Gmail account, and I have several other emails for websites that aren't necessarily related to computer programming. So that's a lot of emails to switch back and forth between. And in the last episode, basically what we did is we went into our .emacs.d, we went into our Emacs configuration, and we set a few variables that look like this, right? We set our default file, file name, user address, and full name, and then in our .profile, which would be in our home directory, we exported a variable called mail, and that had something that looked like in this case, it would be IMAPS test %40 muto.ca colon password at mail host, which is mail.gandy.net in my case. And that's all right. But Emacs actually has a function called set environment, which will actually set the environment variable mail within Emacs to to this right here actually. So we could actually just do this and slap it in here. So that's what's important. That's what we're going to be using, and that's kind of the key to multiple accounts in Rmail, right? So we're actually going to make a function, right? Instead of having a set queue globally, we're actually going to say function and hold on a second. I have different accounts. Instead of test.muto.ca, because I deleted that one, so I have two different ones. My first one is skeleton at muto.ca, and the other one is sparrow at muto.ca. So skeleton and sparrow are someone's two different accounts that they want to use on the same Emacs instance. So in this case, so we're going to change these here too. We'll work on skeleton first. So the full name is skeleton, the user mail address is skeleton at muto.ca. And instead of having all these in a top level, like it's in emacs.d/mymail/rmail, but I'm going to actually have subdirectories. So I'm going to create emacs.d/mymail/skel/rmail. And that should work out fairly well. So that's fine. And also I'm going to put this, I'm actually going to slap this in a function. So you can see here, I can say func mail-skel, skel, can have no arguments, and it's going to be interactive. And now we're going to use set env here. So again, this, we'll do the mail host first, which is mail.gandy.net. And both of my email accounts are going to be on mail.gandy.net. Set environment mail is actually going to have the full IMAPS. I should have kept that instead of deleting it. IMAPS skeleton %40, and again, %40 is the @ symbol. It reads it as the @ symbol. If I use @ it'll actually throw an error at me, and %40, which is the code for an @ symbol, is what it wants us to use. So we're going to do that. Skeleton at muto.ca colon, and I have a bit of a password here, which is spook with 2 zeros, poison stems _ spook, no, all caps, spook 99. So that's the password at mail.gandy.net. All right, awesome. And as you can see, this is a bit long, and if you were to read this, like if you're just reading through someone's Emacs file, of course you don't want to see their password, but aside from that, if you're reading your own Emacs file, this is a bit long. So what I do is I say concat, which actually concatenates strings. So let's say we'll take the protocol, and then we'll slap the address here, the password can go here, and then the host can go down there. So in It's a few extra lines, but it just seems to be easier to digest it this way. I think anyway. It almost seems a bit close to the end there. Let's change that. So that looks pretty okay to me anyway. And then yes, set queue is actually also going to be. I'm going to close this up. And set queue, let me reevaluate this, is going to be exactly the same. And now we're just going to close that function off. Although I am going to add one thing. Message signature. So before Emacs would read your home.signature file, which works just fine, but the thing is, with multiple accounts, you probably want to have different signatures for each account, instead of just having the same generic thing, especially if you're using internet handles, like skeleton and sparrow might be different names, so you want to sign them as different things. So I'm going to say, this is going to say, I'm a skeleton. Boo. And that's something very skeleton-y that a skeleton would say. And that looks about right to me. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to copy this entire thing for our second account. And we're actually just going to paste it right down here. And instead of function mail skell, it's actually going to be function mail spar for sparrow. And this is correct. This here is different though. So instead of skeleton at muto.ca, it's sparrow at muto.ca. And instead of this password, we have a different password, which is, I have it here, snowy, blop blop, seeds underscore, winter, trees, in leet. So that's a password for this at mail.gandhi.net. So that should be okay. And then in here, instead of skell, it's going to be spar. And then down here, our return address is sparrow at muto.ca. Full name is Sparrow. Let's go Sparrow M, just because maybe Sparrow's a bit classier and has a last name. And the message signature will say snow, seeds, tree, I am bird, because that's what a sparrow would probably have in their signature as well, if they happen to have an email account. So that's that, and that seems to look pretty okay. So I'm going to, I'm not going to byte compile this, but I am going to evaluate this file. Oh wait, hold on. Func is not correct. It's define function. This is Lispy, correct. Defun is the correct thing to do here. And now it has been reevaluated. So if I go mx and I can actually say mail skell, when I do that, I am now a skeleton. I'm now on my skeleton email account. So when I go mx rmail, it'll go right to my email in skeleton. So it says, hello, welcome to your new Gandhi mail inbox, because I just created this for the episode. And I'm actually going to send an email. So I'm going to send an email to Sparrow. So Sparrow at muto.ca is going to receive a subject called hello from Skeleton. And Skeleton's going to say, how is my good friend Sparrow doing on this spooktacular day? And of course, this is all going to be on the same email account, but we'll pretend like these are different people just for the sake of it. And of course, we can see that we have our signature down here already, which is kind of nice. So I'm going to press Control-C, Control-S to send this off to Sparrow. And you can say here, okay, it's sent. All right. And now I'm actually going to go mx mail spar, which now if I were to go back into rmail and go mx rmail, I can see that actually this is no longer my skeleton email address. This is spar because I received an email called hello. It says, how's my good friend Sparrow doing on this spooktacular day? And that's an email that I received. So I actually switched account just with Emacs mail spar, right? So I'm actually going to reply to this. I'm going to say, just fine, thank you. And now you can see that I have a different signature here, so that's pretty alright. And I'm going to send this off again with Control-C, Control-S. Alright, fantastic. And then once again, I'm going to go MX, mail, skel. And then I'm going to once again go to Rmail. And this is actually going to throw me right back up here. And I can see I got a reply from Sparrow. So changing these email accounts is actually really simple, and it's actually pretty speedy as well. So I appreciate that. Let's actually go right back to our init.el, because there's one thing that I also wanted to talk about, and it's a keyboard shortcut, which basically, whenever I open up Emacs, it checks for email, and that's kind of awkward, so I'm going to define a new function called rmail no check. And it is going to just say rmail input, rmail file name, because that's going to be this here. Alright, awesome. So that should be fine. And yeah, I'm going to evaluate this. And when I go rmail no check, it actually goes right to my inbox without checking for new email. So if I just wanted to go to my inbox to maybe sort some emails out, then it's totally fine. So let's actually organize these. Now I'm going to press O to send this into a file called note. And I'm going to create that. And I'm going to send this here into a file called conv for conversation. And I'm also going to create that file. Now I can delete both of these because I don't need them in my inbox anymore. So if I were to go back with rmail no check, I can say that I have no email, and that's just fine. But I can say conv for conversation, and I can see that I have my one email in here. So again, sorting is very handy. Having multiple files instead of just clogging up your inbox is fantastic. And I definitely recommend doing that, especially if you download your email. I also recommend downloading your email instead of keeping them on the server. So this should be pretty alright. I find it to be very manageable, especially since not a whole lot of people use email nowadays. I really just get a bit of spam, mostly notifications, but some good friends still message me on email, which is just fine. There's one thing that I wanted to let you know is that I have F2 set to rmail no check, but I also have CCM set to rmail no check as well. So instead of that, let's yeah, so CCM is rmail no check. You could also have keyboard shortcuts just like this that would call mail skel or mail spar, right? So you could have something like CCMS for mail skel, and then CCMC for rmail no check. But yeah, no, the only thing I'm kind of worried about is the fact that the passwords are here, but they don't actually have to be here. If you omit them, I'm pretty sure rmail actually asks you for your permission. But aside from that, I'd recommend chmodding your r.emacs file so that you are the only person who has read access to it. And that should help in terms of security, but again, I'd recommend putting this into another file altogether. Anyway, that's all. Just a simple idea. I'm actually really enjoying Rmail now that multiple accounts is really easy to do. And I'll probably just continue using it because it's honestly really nice. I don't see any issues with Rmail, honestly. It's pretty fantastic. The only thing is that in your inbox, you can't go up and down in your emails without also opening the email file. So it can get a bit slower, especially when some jerkwad sends you an HTML email that's like 8 megabytes big. But one nice thing about Rmail is that it actually omits extensions until you download them. So that's kind of nice. So you don't have to read the entire extension as well. As in, if they send you an image that's attached to the email, it doesn't automatically open that up. So that's kind of handy. But sometimes I do get like a megabyte of garbage HTML in the background, and that kind of stinks. But aside from that, I usually just delete those because they're usually junk email anyway. So yeah, that's it for this video. It's pretty short, but I hope that this helps someone out. And I'm just gonna stop recording now. Have an excellent day.